welcome back to Staying Strong for Marriages, a YouTube channel dedicated to helping people walk through marriage, separation, or divorce using Christian principles, as well as hoping to see a lot more marriages make it. There was this organization called MDRC. They were started, basically a nonprofit group. You can see building knowledge to improve social policy. So they're a nonprofit organization. Anyway, they originally were called the Manpower Demonstration Research Corporation, created in 1974 by the Ford Foundation. It's a group of federal agencies. It's a nonprofit, nonpartisan educational and social policy research organization dedicated to learning what works to improve programs and policies that affect the poor. It says that children who grow up living in intact households with both biological parents present seem to do better on average on a wide variety of social indicators than do children who grow up in single-parent households. That was a study done in 1994. For example, they are less likely to drop out of school, become a teen parent, be arrested, and be unemployed, while single parenthood is not the main nor the sole cause of children's increased likelihood of engaging in one of these detrimental behaviors. It is one of the contributing factors. Put another way, equalizing income and opportunity do improve the life outcomes of children growing up in single-parent households, but children raised in two-parent families still have an advantage. So it goes on to say, if the failure of parents to marry and persistently high rates of divorce are behind the high percentage of children who grow up in single-parent families, can and should policy attempt to reverse these trends? Since Daniel Patrick Moynihan first lamented what he identified as the decline of the black family in his 1965 report, The Negro Family, The Case for National Action, marriage has been a controversial subject for social policy and scholarship. The initial reaction to Moynihan was harsh. Scholars argued vehemently that family structure and thus father absence was not a determinant of child well-being. But then in the 1980s, psychologists began producing evidence that divorce among middle-class families was harmful to children. Renewed interest among sociologists and demographers in the link between poverty and single parenthood soon emerged, and as noted above, that work increasingly began building toward the conclusion that family structure did matter. That's as of 1994. Of course, the debate was not just about family structure and income differences, it was also about race and gender. So when Moynihan wrote in 1965, 24% of all births among African Americans occurred outside of marriage. Today, the black out-of-wedlock birth rate is almost 70%, and the white rate has reached nearly 24%. If single parenthood is a problem, that problem cuts across race and ethnicity. The story has nuance. Yes, growing up with two parents is better for children, but only when both mother and father are biological or intact, as opposed to remarried parents. It's interesting, given this channel. In fact, there is some evidence that second marriages can actually be harmful to adolescents. We never hear that. Well, we do hear that. There's people that talk about how dangerous it is for our kids. You know, if you have, say, teenagers living together that aren't related, sexual promiscuity and all that stuff. In fact, there's some evidence that second marriages can actually be harmful to adolescents. Moreover, marriage can help children only if the marriage is a healthy one. While the definition of a healthy marriage is itself subject to debate, it is typically characterized as high in positive interaction, satisfaction, and stability, and low in conflict. Unhealthy marriages, characterized by substantial parental conflict, pose a clear risk for child well-being, both because of the direct negative effects that result when children witness conflict between parents, and because of conflict's indirect effects on parenting skills. Marital hostility is associated with increased aggression and disruptive behaviors on the part of children, which in turn seem to lead to peer rejection, academic failure, and other antisocial behaviors. I just like this because there's a lot of stuff going on here that's from the academic background. I like it when there's quotes.
Step back, 7 5, let's go, I'm driving.